Tyler Lockett last season had 122 targets, 79 receptions, 894 yards, and 5 touchdowns. Thoughts on Tyler Lockett?
I'm shying away from Lockett this year. So Geno definitely regressed last season. Um, and we saw Lockett and Metcalf and Smith and Jigba, all three kind of under impressed as far as a fantasy perspective went. So I don't know that this is one of those cases that I'm going to say that the value is there on Lockett. We're going to talk about Njigba here shortly. There's not that much difference between these two guys. So you have DK, then Smith and Jigba, and then Lockett, right? There's not it's very small between those two. I'm going to tell you, I think I would rather go the Smith and Jigba route if I wanted to get my hands on the second or third type Seattle receiver, as opposed to um, you know, uh, as opposed to waiting on Lockett. So again, not against the player. He's getting a little bit older, lost a step, maybe. Like, he still has an uncanny ability to kind of get behind defenses, and he does do a good job concentrating on the ball and coming down with crazy catches. So he does his job well. Strictly from a fantasy perspective, I think I'm shying away from Tyler Lockett in this range. And I think there's other players that I would particularly like to target as opposed to Tyler Lockett.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I famously defended Tyler Lockett on this podcast a few years back. But things change. People get older. You draft a new receiver that kind of comes in and sort of does the same thing you do. So I think that, we were just talking about Romeo Doubs. I'd rather have Dobbs, and I don't feel like I'm getting cheated if I take him 6 picks earlier, which is where Tyler Lockett's going, right? So, yeah, I think if I'm sitting there and it's Tyler Lockett or Romeo Doubs, I'm taking Dobbs.
Tyler Lockett was a pretty locked and loaded top 30 wide receiver for several years. And this last year was the first time that we saw him fail to get inside that range for the first time since 2017. And there's some offensive changes happening there. New coaching regime taking place there as well. He's entering his age 32 season. Things are not necessarily trending up at this point for Tyler Lockett. And I think I'm pretty well just out on Tyler Lockett, especially since there's some guys just below him coming off the board that I'd rather go with as well.